Welcome back, everyone. Oh, sorry for that. Just getting in here. We have an exciting show today. We're going to cover some news. Get rid of this feel-good music. It's kind of the Bachelor here. Background music. The truth. Wicked world is so filled. I'm JW. You remember those days when we felt like we were being controlled by the music? Kingdom Melodies. That wasn't Kingdom Melodies, by the way. That's StreamYard stuff. Okay, we have to get rid of the emblem. We have to change that. Okay, we're just 1 o'clock is like we're just getting out of bed, so give us a break. You know, we stay up all night watching news. No, we don't. We have a good life here. It's been really good since we got out of the watchtower. Actually, my life has increased 1,000-fold since I woke up. I got out of the watchtower back in 2012 and I didn't wake up. I had bouts of anger. I had all kinds of mental disturbances. I was borderline alcoholic for a while. And then you slowly recover. And then I thought I was recovering and I met an elder in the store and then bang, it knocked me sideways. And then I got really angry. And then my wife said, okay, you better deal with that or else. And so I started to write. That's what they get you to do. When you go to therapy, we have an XJW recovery program on Saturdays, tomorrow at 1, if you want to join up. I'll put a link for it. If you email us, you can get a link for it. So if you get the book and everything off XJW Diaries, that's what we're going over. It's good for us. The book tells you to start writing a journal. It's important. I didn't realize how important that was, but it's important. We're going to look at some really interesting news. But before we do that, let's say hi to everyone. Hello, Alora, Mermaid. Nice to have you on the show. And we have Brandy Bear. Hello, Brandy Bear from Kentucky. I bet you it's warm down there. It's actually very nice up here. We have Ricky, Bobby. It's warm in Tennessee too, Ricky says. And we have Michelle Allen. Hello, Michelle. Nice to have you with us. Bruce Hurt. Morning, guys. Tropical Australia. Wow. That's nice down there. That would be your summer. Oh. Bruce, welcome to the show. And we have Christos Koros. JW is a satanic cult. There's a lot of us that say that. It's something, isn't it? We're still not done dissecting this whole mess that we're a part of, but it's a process. The dude. Hi, Vern. Good afternoon. Hello, dude. Okay, Bruce. Talcum Woman. Hello, Talcum Woman. Nice, tall, cool woman. Yeah, I always get these names mixed up. And we have Jay. Hello, Jay. Welcome. And we have, that's at the end of my list. Okay. Well, I'm going to wet my lips here and then we're going to get rolling. This first article that we're going to cover is from this area. Do you see where we're at here? We're going to see if my Zoom lets me do this. Sometimes online it's a little sketchy. There we go. There's where this news is from. Okay, we'll get in on it a little bit more. Nigeria, is that it? Yeah, Nigeria. Okay, let's get right into it here. Nigeria. This is a situation that happened. These 9 Jehovah's Witnesses they're still far as I know, they haven't been found. This is new news. They were on their way from the assembly, from this Kaba to this Lokajo. And you can zoom in and look at the roads. It's not like they're really getting ambushed. The roads looked okay when I zoomed in on them. Looks like farms all around that area. There's little towns, it looks like, all around there. I guess there's probably a lot of spots they could jump out, like here. You get out of this little town, right? And there's all this bush. So, maybe these guys are sitting here on a road here like this, pull a car out in front of a vehicle. It looks like it's almost a dirt road. No, I think it's pavement. But, here's a good place to ambush someone. It happens, right? Ambushing. But, Jehovah's Witnesses are good people, good, honest people. Why would someone want to ambush Jehovah's Witnesses and kidnap them? We're going to look at the article here. But I was wanting to get right into the town. There's no view on this. I couldn't get a street view. But I was looking at the assembly hall, trying to zoom in on that. See what the assembly hall looked like. There's 3 or 4 kingdom halls, it looks like, in the area. So it's quite active, this area, for Jehovah's Witnesses. They're growing there. Maybe they have air conditioning at the assemblies. They get lots of support. We're going to go to a different view. And I'm going to put this up on a bigger screen for you. So this is what it looks like. You can get in a little closer. This is the assembly hall right here. This whole building here. This is the roof we're looking at. I don't know. These roofs are kind of different. They're all flat. Probably they don't get snow, so it's just all water drainage into gutter systems. That's how these flat roofs work. And there's no road view, so that's the best I can show you for this area. So what happened? Kidnappers abduct 9 Jehovah's Witnesses in Kogi, they call this area, and they demand N30M ransom, 30 million. Now, I know you want to know how much that is. Here's how much it is. 30 million Nigerian dollars is about 19,000 US, not even $20,000. And that's all they're asking for 9 people. Like, for us, it's not a lot of money, but, millions of dollars US, that would be a lot of money, right? So, I'm sure while they're working with, we'll see what happens in the article. I did read it, but I don't want to give it all away. So there's the headliner, a guy with a machine gun. I guess this is kind of something that can happen down in these countries. In these countries, I guess. What else do you call them? We don't find that happening here in Canada, although it can happen. Old people get abducted by someone on the road, some hitchhiker, and then all of a sudden out of the ditch comes 3 or 4 people. They hop in the car. It happened to me. I was a JW once, for 30 years. And I was driving through a area. Yeah, it was, farm area, community. I was commuting between a town to town. a couple hours between towns, lots of bush. I pull up to a stop sign. I was a younger JW. I was actually a fire alarm service tech, quite young. So I was driving up to the stop sign. I stopped. A guy comes to the passenger. I had my door locked. I rolled the window. Yeah. And a bunch of people hopped out of the ditch and hopped in my back seat. I didn't have my darn doors locked. And in them days, they didn't have automatic locks. That was a luxury. So always drive with your doors locked. You can get ambushed anywhere. So happens in Mexico. People get ambushed. Lots of Canadians go down there. They get ambushed. Why? For money. It's all about money. And if you're a Jehovah's Witness traveling from on the assembly, you're all dressed up, suits and ties. You're dressed up to the hilts. We're looking at that. Why do we dress up for our meetings? You look at the little suits and ties. All these kids get dressed up by their moms and dads. And in some of them countries, they probably have to spend lots of money on these little boy ties. I used to go broke every assembly buying new little boys' ties, because pretty soon your little boy grows up into a man, but you're buying all these ties and clothes in between to fit what? To show respect to God? Does God need us to have these ties on and these suits to show respect to him? No, this is Watchtower. Watchtower wants to look uniform. You see, there's the girls, there's the people. So the little girls have to dress up like this. And I had to do both. I had a girl, boy. I had to buy all these little girl dresses. Those are expensive. Those are $150 up here. Some of those fluffy little dresses that they want to put on the kids. I was going broke. And then not only that, here's what the people got to look like. These are people, probably Nigerians or Guinea, these people, dressed to the hilt. I'd go to Mexico. When I was down in Mexico, going to some of these little congregations, we go on holidays, and then they say you should go to the meeting. So you go to the meeting there, and they're just dressed to the hilt. And then you kind of walk home with them, and then they're living in little huts, just like here. Did we look at it here? Yeah, just like these little huts there. They don't live in fancy homes. No one. I went in Mexico. They were living in little huts. Yeah. But they'd walk out of those huts looking like this, looking like $1 million. Jehovah's Witnesses would. People working in the hotel zones also look quite dressed up, but they didn't look like Jehovah's Witnesses. They had a particular look, and it seems like they want you to look like that. Look at this picture here. You see the man, this is like a third world country. This isn't the US or Canada. Could be Mexico. All these people are dressed up to the hilt, little boy ties. But look at behind him. This guy has bare feet, sweatpants, and a shirt. He probably goes to the Catholic church. Well, I think you got to wear shoes. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the rules are. I don't think there's these kinds of rules at other churches. Well, I know there isn't. But what does your style of dress? Does your style of dress glorify God? Another Jehovah's Witness article. And if you look in the background, the people they're going to the assembly dressed in the hilt. They got their badges on, the little lapel badges. You get that all done at home. Hour and a half commute. That's what it was. An hour and a half between this. Let's just pull it up here. Hour and 40 minutes, I think it said. Hour and 47 minutes between these. We used to drive that lots of times to go to assemblies. And then you get all dressed up. You'd get over, well, they don't have a coliseum there in Nigeria. They just have an assembly hall they're using. But you're still dressed up to the hilts. Everyone's dressed up. Looks like $1 million. So you got this group of people traveling, commuting between these two areas here, all dressed to the hilts. And notice in the article what they're driving. They're not driving some beat up old wreck like I drive. They're driving a Toyota. Up here in Canada to drive a Toyota, that's a higher class vehicle. A lot like that. The Toyota is a good vehicle, no doubt. Probably need a Toyota down there, but They look at what type of vehicle you drive. A lot of Jehovah's Witnesses, they put all their money into how they look on the outside, like their dress. I had a closet full of suits, like a ton of suits. I had like 8 or 9 suits. I was giving away suits. I'd get fat, lose weight, get fat, lose weight. You guys know how that is. You're buying a new suit every year because you gain 10 pounds, 5 pounds. I used to tell everyone, but I know the scale doesn't lie. And yeah, it's vanity. And if you look at everything that's going on in the Jehovah's Witness religion, it's vanity. Hush, hush, hush. Hide this under the carpet. We don't want to give ourselves a bad name. What they're doing is they're giving themselves a bad name. You see, all those years that we were exemplary, we were righteous, we all wore all these nice clothes. It's what's it all for? Well, we got to look good in front of Jehovah's name. Well, now with all these CSA cases, all these cover-ups, it's put the name in the limelight. If they would have just said, hey, yeah, we got a problem with our elders book way back then, blame it on Fred Franz, not Raymond. Raymond's the good guy. He left. Give him a bit of credit. Should have listened to Raymond, but they listened to Fred Franz. And they idolized this guy. He lived so long. He was the longest living anointed one. But anyways, Fred Franz, blame it on him. He brought it in and say, you know what, guys, we're going to have to just pay out, change our elders, mandatory reporting, fix it. That's what other religions are doing right now, not Jehovah's Witnesses. You see, by holding on the brakes and covering this all up for Jehovah, keeping it all secret, it's now the biggest headline on earth. That last news thing I ran about the Viagra, the guy that shouldn't have never been in a newspaper. It shouldn't have been a big deal, but it is. And they advertised Jehovah. They brought Jehovah up and the Viagra, and he lied in court. And he said, oh no, it was a mistake. And then it came, and then he got up and he gave his oath. He says, I'm a Jehovah's Witness. I go to the Tuesday meeting, the Wednesday and the Thursday and the Sunday meeting, and I'm an active Jehovah's Witness. This is how he presented himself to the court. And he says, this was just a mistake. And the court's looking at all this. And that's why it gets the headlines. You see, Jehovah's Witnesses go to court. They think they're so righteous. But you see, this guy was deceiving the court. He was deceiving the court. And he thought that by telling the court that he was this upstanding Jehovah's Witness, we were told when we were in the religion that the Jehovah's Witnesses have the best name out there. You see, I never really looked at headlines, but it's impossible now because to not see this stuff. See, back then it wasn't highlighted. That was back 80s, 90s. Even 2012, I left. There wasn't a lot of this stuff on the headlines. This is just recent. And it's on the news. It's hitting mainstream news. You have to be blind not to see this and not to be curious. I think you have to be blind because you would see it. Even though you're not looking for it, you're going to see it. Jehovah's Witnesses is the biggest bad name out on Google right now. All the negative stuff. This is another one. Why are they kidnapped? Well, my vote is because of they look like $1 million. When I was a Jehovah's Witness, I put all my money into vehicles and dress for my family and my kids going to these meetings, and gasoline into multiple new style vehicles. I'd buy a vehicle that could hold 7 people, minivans. That was a big thing. They'd never last in Nigeria on those roads. You'd need a Toyota or a 4Runner, or that's a Toyota 4Runner, or those. There's a couple of brands of vehicles, quite expensive. If you're out in pioneering in Nigeria, you're going to need a pretty good vehicle. If you have the money, you're going to sink that money into the vehicle. Maybe a few people will help support a vehicle, but it'll look like $1 million. Jehovah's Witnesses are clean people. They shine their vehicles. They wash their vehicles. They vacuum them out. You see, we're getting into those vehicles always dressed up with suits and ties on, like you're going to a wedding just to go out in service. You don't look like the normal people around there. You see, when we did unassigned territory up in the northern of Canada, we were allowed to dress with lumberjackets if we wished. We didn't, we just kind of blended in with the community. It looked like we were doing some kind of a survey going door to door. People really didn't know. We'd go to the police. First thing we'd do is I would go to the police station, with the elder. Lots of elders don't want to, but that we got in the routine. We let the police know what we're doing in town. Then we go to the head office of the community. These are small Indigenous communities. We let them know what we're doing, any problems, anything happening in town that we should know about. You see, lots of Jehovah's, that's not in the elders book, by the way, and that they don't tell you to do that when you go to a community. We hear of Jehovah's Witnesses getting shot in their cars out in the field ministry. Are these bad communities? I don't know. But I believe that people should know about what's going on in the community. Go to the police, go to the town center office. We were doing some reserves down south, middle of Alberta, and first thing we do is we go to the chief. Can we do this? He pulls in. They have their own police. Some of these reserves have their own police force. Pulled in the police force. They said, no, we don't want you on here. And they're all looking at me like I'm supposed to. I said, no, we're going to go. We packed up and we drove away. If they don't want you there and they say it's dangerous, why would you go there? We didn't. I wouldn't encourage anybody to go where there's people getting killed. And this area had issues. So, are we driving roads? Are the witnesses driving these roads that are suspicious, known to be people get abducted on these roads? They drive on these roads. They look like $1 million. If they lock you in, like we looked at the map there, so easy. You could have all your doors locked. You're in Nigeria, in the middle of a jungle. These guys have machine guns. You're unlocking your doors. You're getting out. So maybe we shouldn't look like $1 million, Jehovah's Witnesses. Maybe we should just look like the locals. Maybe this isn't what God wants. God looks at us inside our hearts. Didn't a governing body member give a big talk about that? It doesn't matter what we look like. I think there's some changes that have to happen. Well, here it is. 9 travelers on the Kaba Lokojoa Road in Kogi State have been kidnapped. No, I probably butchered those names, but just work with me a bit. So those kidnapped included 2 women, 4 men, and two female students. 2 women, 4 men, and 2 female students. The incident occurred last Saturday about 4:30 p.m. when the passengers who were traveling from Kaba to Lokoja for a church convention were stopped and whisked into the bush. The victims, who were all members of Jehovah's Witnesses, were said to have taken off from the Kingdom Hall in Kaba. The husband to one of the victims, Mr. Elo Eliezer, said the kidnappers have made contact with the family with their demands. And he said they called to demand first for 30 million. That was I think we had that worked out here, the $18,900, 30 million. And they later reduced it to 2.6 million after negotiation. So if you could imagine, $18,000 would be a lot of money in Nigeria, perhaps. So they brought this down to 2.6. 2.6. So about $1,600, $1,650 US. They brought that down to. So divide that up between 9 people. That should be easy to get that kind of money. I wonder if there's a lot of this going on. They start at 30 million, 20 grand, like if you're from the US or Canada, you just send down 20 grand and get your family back. But if you're from there, and that's a pile of money, that's a pile of money down there. The 2.6 million, the $1,500 for all 9 people, it's probably more reasonable. And this is like a business for these bandits, road bandits. Okay, so he says, my wife and I were traveling to attend our church convention scheduled for Lokoja, but I decided that the person that's giving this, they decided to follow a different vehicle as the Toyota bus. So the other people were in a Toyota bus. They're friends. So they're giving the story of what happened to their friends. So their friends were in the Toyota bus. They couldn't all fit in. Lucky for them. And so they followed a different vehicle. And the Toyota bus could not contain all of us, else I would have been in the car with her. Well, I thought she said it was a bus, but I guess a car. So Eliezer, who is the person with the disability, said the vehicle his wife traveled with was ahead of the one he was in, but all the occupants of the bus were already marched into the bush before the vehicle he boarded got to the spot. He said the kidnappers had warned them not to inform or involve the police. Wow, so there is a bunch of people all stopped in this place, it looks like, and they took the bus load of people. Maybe they looked the most expensive clothing. However, the police public relations officer, William A., when contacted, promised to find out and get back with details later, and he was, however, and that's the end of the article. Some of these articles, there's lots of advertising. The article we did yesterday on Viagra, we had to buy that article because when you go to it, there's nothing there. So some of these articles, they're making money off this name Jehovah. This is the amazing thing, folks. Jehovah's Witnesses is a hot topic. People wonder, why are you not running other things, Catholic and all these things? Well, number one, I'm an ex-Jehovah's Witness. That's what I feel I'm an expert at. I know it from the inside out. I don't know a lot about Catholics and Mormons. Like, who am I to speak about? I do news on Jehovah's Witnesses because that's what I know. And a lot of this stuff I know is hidden. I was a Jehovah's Witness all those years. They don't talk about what's going on in these other countries in a negative way. They spin everything and they don't tell you everything. So, but this is what's happening, folks. Are they going to run an article and say, hey, guys, let's not dress this fancy. Let's just wear some T-shirts and be like the locals? When you're commuting on these roads, are they going to give that kind of a talk? I don't know. They should. Because how you look is how you're perceived and how you're going to be viewed. Driving a couple of old junky vehicles. I used to go to the auctions every year. When I was running a business, I couldn't afford new vehicles, but I buy them at the auctions. People would run a vehicle for 100,000 kilometers and think it's wore out. Well, to me, it was just broke in. I'd end up putting another 150 or whatever on them and then sell them again. But anyways, everyone does things a little different. This is the going rate now in Nigeria, I guess. $1,500, $1,600 for 9 people. It's sad. Well, that's all we're going to cover on that. We covered a little bit on the dress. I think it's the dress and how they look. Jehovah's Witnesses spend everything on how they look, their vehicles. They buy these nice, fancy 7-passenger vehicles, little buses. And when you look here in this picture, they're all standing by the cart here. They're not wearing T-shirts and just jeans and stuff. They're all dressed to the hilt. I don't think they would let you, if you wanted to go out in the ministry, I don't think they would let you go out in the ministry wearing jeans and a shirt. Even if you wore a nice shirt, I don't know. You could wear jeans like this. You think these rips would work? That's all I got. Like, is God gonna? Okay, it's not that bad. But anyways, I think there's a way too much emphasis on dress. So we're going to move on. That's it for that article. Any questions? Tier 5 pirates. You're not kidding. We got to be careful. Um, yeah. Have any of you guys ever been robbed, abducted on holidays? I was robbed down in, but I'm not going to get into it. When thought I was pioneering in Mexico. And then you come home and you say, well, I guess Jehovah didn't want us there. And that's what, that's how we talk, eh? Jehovah didn't want us here, so he sent someone in to rob us. Oh, we come up with all kinds of scary stuff. Now, this lady has been on the news a bit. Everyone know about her? Kelsey Toussant from The Bachelor. She grew up in a very religious household. We actually want to give her a lot of credit. She walked away from the religion to go to university. And we're going to look at her story. I believe there's a lot of JWs right now inside that are just bubbling with creativity, because everyone's different. And I think there's a lot that are bubbling with creativity that could be doing a lot with their lives. And they're putting it all aside. They might even have natural singing talents, natural instrument talents, all kinds of things. And they put it all aside because the Watchtower tells them they have to be a pioneer. They're nothing to Jehovah. Higher education is wrong. Your dad's he won't be an elder. So it's very hard on the kids that are talented that want to do something. So let's look at this lady and see what she did. She's very famous now, and she's a movie star. Well, there's just something about Joey, the Bachelor season 28 lead, that makes his ladies want to open up to him. And judging by every successful date that follows these big conversations, we'd say it's not a bad thing at all. So I'm guessing, she got into this and she knows the whole program, getting into The Bachelor. She's probably thinking, I probably won't even make it to the end. You know how sometimes we might think. And then lo and behold, Jehovah's name comes out of this whole thing like later. And here this guy's a good talker, and he wanted to know about her home life, and she didn't really want to talk about it. It's going to come out here. So it's interesting. In February 2024, the episode of The Bachelor, Kelsey Toussant does just that when she uses her one-on-one with Joey as an opportunity to share details about her relationship with her dad. So sharing these important bits of information from family dynamics to health struggles is nothing new in the Bachelor franchise, but Kelsey's openness about her dad and her relationship with her family as a whole says a lot about who she is. And judging by her connection with the Bachelor lead, it says a lot about their growing relationship also. So there she is with the Bachelor. Paul, I guess. Is it Paul? Yeah. It's Paul, right? No, Joey. This is Joey, Bachelor season 28. So for all of you guys out there that follow The Bachelor, I don't, but I didn't know there was an ex-Jehovah's Witness up there. But anyways, that wouldn't have mattered. Sharing these important bits of information from family dynamics we read that. So there they are. Sorry about all the ads in this article, but that's how they are. Now, Kelsey T discussed the difficult relationship with her dad on The Bachelor. Now, Kelsey reveals to Joey in February 19th, 2024 episode for week 6.
Apparently, Laura said this is from an episode this past Monday night.
Really?
Yes.
So this is pretty new news.
Okay.
This is from last Monday night. So this is pretty new news, guys. Yeah, I know when I was looking at the news article, it said February 20th on this, but sometimes you figure these articles are picked up, I know. But I guess this is brand new news. Okay, so this is 2024, February 19th, right here. Episode for week 6 that she and her dad haven't been super close for a long time. In fact, they hadn't been calling and talking to each other regularly for a very long time of filming. And it's all because of the falling out that Kelsey and her father had when she was younger. She explains to Joey that she grew up in an extremely religious household, according to Kelsey, and her dad remained strictly religious, even when her ideas about her life direction changed. This is when the kids are told to be honest with their parents, and they say that, and then, oh no, you can't go to university. But she tells Joey when she realized she wanted a future with education, something that wasn't possible under her father's thumb and within the religion, she broke ties with her dad to pursue that and to live with her mom. I guess they're split up. Maybe her mom's not a JW anymore. Well, it says, as a result, things aren't as solid with Kelsey's dad as she might want them to be. He's still in her life, and he can be found in photos here and there on Kelsey's Instagram. However, that relationship and the details surrounding it are a point of contention for Kelsey on The Bachelor. So this is a real problem. So I was kind of snooping around. I just pressed that link, and this is her on her Instagram. I was trying to look for her dad in all these pictures without spending a lot of time, but I couldn't see any. I just see a bunch of pictures of her friends and her, I guess. Yeah, so there you go. This will all be in this link. We'll attach it all, for you guys that are fans. Okay, so she says, however, yeah. So it's a big problem for her right now on The Bachelor. Her dad's JW, because anything JW, man, it's hitting the news. This is going to be the biggest advertising piece for Bachelor. This JW story. They're going to dig at this. And it's going to come out. It's already coming out about the education. People are going to say, "What? You can't go to university and be a JW?" That's not very attractive for young people. So Kelsey reveals to Joey that her dad is extremely religious. Maybe he's an elder. We're going to look at some more stuff here. When Kelsey shares with Joey that the religion she and her family followed is what held her back and drove a wedge between herself and her dad, she doesn't explain what the religion is. She doesn't explain. Yeah, it's traumatic. I wonder if she even had chance to unveil all of this indoctrination, all these things that they stick into your head. It takes a while to get that out. So it says here, but in 2019 interview with Voyage LA, Kelsey opened up a bit more. I have that article open. We'll take a look at it in a second. And she opens up more about her family's religion from when she was growing up. And we'll read that in a second. So there's a picture of her. Nice where she is. That's Instagram. Looks like it's tropical trees there. Okay, so what was Kelsey's religion? Kelsey was a Jehovah's Witness growing up. And when high school came around, I joined a theater class, and that's when I realized I wanted to pursue creativity for the rest of my life. And at that same time, I was a full-blown Jehovah's Witness. And I knew that the two couldn't coexist. You see, there's nothing in the Bible that says the two can't coexist. So that's why we know it's a cult. It's quite simply, you can follow Jesus and be talented in all kinds of things. I think there was a guy following Jesus by the name of Luke. I don't think he was the apostle, but he was Luke. They claim he wrote part of the Bible, and that he was a doctor back then. So, you'd need some education back then, even to be a doctor, to place broken bones. There was doctors back then that knew medicine, and they'd have to have training. So I don't know where Jehovah's Witnesses get their whole idea that education is bad, but then again, I don't get where a blood transfusion's wrong. I don't get the shunning policy, and again, I don't get their 2-witness rule. So they have lots of little rules, and I don't get the 144,000 are the only ones going to heaven, and that the earth is going to hold everyone else. See, those numbers are not working. And I don't get the 1914 in heaven thing. I don't get that. There's a whole pile of stuff I just don't get. And it's okay. It doesn't mean that if you're a Jehovah's Witness and you get it, somehow you get it, you figure this out, doesn't make you wrong, bad, or anything. It just means that some of us don't get it after a while. But anyways, she goes on to talk about she joined theater class. At the same time, she's a full-blown witness. She knew that they couldn't coexist. So she decided to leave the religion, and she says she set her focus on attending the California State University of Northridge. Must be for acting, I'm thinking. The extent of Kelsey's religious background goes even further than what she explains to Joey on The Bachelor. And when she spoke with Voyage LA, she said that she was so separated from society when she was deep within the religion that she had to play catch up with mainstream media, movies, and pop-up cultures. Now, I want to talk about that for a bit. And I thought about that. When I got out, you could ask my wife, Shauna, online. She's online typing away. I knew nothing. I still don't know actors' names. I don't know who's who politically. Like, we're so... If we were a good Jehovah's Witness and we didn't go online, which I didn't have time to, you become numb. You become numb to the rest of the world. And I think it's because of the indoctrination, where we go to the meetings and continually at every magazine, you go into every magazine, probably 100 times in that every watchtower, it says Satan is part of the wicked system. The wicked system, Satan, it's an implantation of fear. And it numbs us. We get numb. And then Jehovah, listen to Jehovah, listen to Jehovah. You see, Jehovah, they're not telling you to listen to God. They're telling you to listen to the watchtower. Not even the Bible, not even Jesus. You can't realize that, and you can't see it when you're in there because you're numb. It's just, you have all this stuff pounded at you for years and years and years, and you believe it. You believe it's the truth. You believe that the system's wicked. That's indoctrination. That's what they do in the Russian prison camps. They indoctrinate all the prisoners. They have these loud horns and they play the anthem over and over and over again. They play indoctrination. So if you're in Russia and you're a JW going in, you might come out completely believing that you should join the army and go fight. Like, it might change you because that's what they're doing in Russia. That's what the Kingdom Hall does. They've done that since Rutherford, 100 years of it. Okay, let's move on and talk. Did we finish the rest of that article? Yeah, I think we did. There's more. Okay, Kelsey was drawn to theater and performing from a young age, and although she does appear to be on Bachelor for the right reasons, she's also an actor, and according to her IMDb, she was in some heavy hitters like the movies Barbie and the Ant-Man and the Wasp. Anybody know about those ones? As well as a TV show, How I Met Your Father. Anybody know that one? Now, after learning that Kelsey was part of the Barbie movie, many fans were wondering who exactly she was in the film. What part did Kelsey T play in Barbie? Well, Kelsey played the role Miss Universe Jamaica in Barbie. And in an Instagram post about the shoot, Kelsey shared her enthusiasm for the part, saying, "I had so much fun as Miss Universe Jamaica." Even though Kelsey loves to act, it seems that she isn't playing a part while on The Bachelor. She is all about Joey. So she's in love with Joey. Watch The Bachelor on Mondays at 8 p.m. on ABC and more from this. That's it. So what I do have for you is meet Kelsey Toussant. Kelsey, let's start with your story. We'd love to hear how you got started and how the journey has been so far. So this story is August. This is an older story. This is August 16th, 2019. I just combed through it, and she said she was a child, actually pretty quiet, and she would I would briefly blossom whenever I was given a creative assignment from school. And from then on, I knew I had creative genes flowing through my body. To this day, my dad has a talk show I wrote. So I don't know what that meant. Her dad has a talk show and she wrote it. She produced and starred in on his phone. Maybe he's a YouTube guy. I didn't know JWs did that. I don't think he knew I had it in me. No one did, not even me. When high school came around, I joined a theater class, and that's when I realized I wanted to pursue creativity for the rest of my life. And at the same time, I was a full-blown Jehovah's Witness, and I knew the two couldn't coexist. So I decided to leave the religion and set my focus on attending the California State University, Northridge. I think that's sad. People have to, if they're part of a religion, any religion, but that they'd have to leave the religion and their family to want to attend university. If you're a Mormon, they encourage you to do that. In fact, they might give you a loan to do that if you're a Mormon. Catholics, well, a lot of Catholic judges and educated people out there. So they're not opposed to education. I think it's just Jehovah's Witnesses, and that's the only ones I know of so far that are really down on education. Now, she says, I went through 3 majors: accounting, broadcast, journalism, and then finally theater. The practical math lover is in me, still wasn't comfortable with going all on as creative. After a successful play, costume designing, direct, improve, and on camera class, I realized I didn't choose this dream, it chose me. And I'd be doing myself and everyone else a disservice if I only made it a side hustle. So there you go. I think that's a good example. I wanted to cover that for the young people out there that are Jehovah's Witnesses. This girl's an example. This stuff's in you. This creativity's inside you. Let it come out. Let it see where it takes you. Your journey's just beginning. Do not let the watchtower hold you back. Now, after graduating, acting became her life. Since then, she's been honored to be part of several web series, short films, and hopefully featured in a feature film. She could get a Jehovah's Witness film. I think with all the stuff going on about Jehovah's Witnesses, it's going to be soon that there will be films coming out. Mainstream films on this, maybe fictional stories, who knows. So anyways, that's she talked a little bit about her story there. That is all. I'm gonna post this one article here. Everything else is links. You can get the links right off this article yourselves if you want to read more up on Kelsey. Okay, we're gonna move on to our next piece of news. And the next piece of news is Warwick police seek help identifying persons accused of vandalism. Now, apparently there's been a bunch of vandalism on Jehovah's Witnesses halls or something. Excuse me. Now, Warwick Police Department announced it is seeking the public's help to identify a person accused of vandalizing Kingdom Halls of Jehovah's Witnesses. So it sounds like there's a bunch of Kingdom Halls. The vandalized Kingdom Hall is located on 544 Long Street in Warwick, according to the officials. So maybe there's just one Kingdom Hall. They always just show the guy's shoes, Well, there's the guy right there, I guess. Yeah, that's the thing. People look at these cameras. They wear hoodies and stuff. That's how they get around cameras. Now, I don't know. Are you going to identify him by his runners, maybe? Not sure. That's all there really was on that article. Warwick police are looking into it. They share the photographs of the suspects and their distinct footwear. Oh, I guess you could get people by the track. So this guy sees this in the news. He's burning those shoes, right? Police said anyone who has information about this person should contact the department's detective division, 401-468-4238. Now, what I wanted to say, the Kingdom Hall was vandalized, and it's on the news. Wouldn't you want to hush that up, like cover that up? You guys shred those documents, fix it ourselves. We'll just fix this in-house. We don't want the public to know that we're getting vandalized. It's going to bring bad publicity on Jehovah's name. No, they call the police right away. They come in, okay, no one enter, no one enter, okay, call the police. We'll wait, the police will get here. They're calling the police. It's in the elders book. But that's vandalism, right? That's a crime. Now, when criminal activity happens within the congregation and it involves a child, well, I'm not going to get into details here. You call the service department now. You don't even call the legal department. You call the service department. You don't call the police. You skip all of that. You call the service department. When a crime like that happens, wouldn't you want to get the police involved? Like, that's out of our jurisdiction, guys. I'm not a child counselor, like as an elder. Do you have any training, psychology to deal with this kind of stuff? No. Just be honest if you're in that situation. And this is like hypocritical. If you're going to call the police for vandalism, then you better, without calling the service desk, guaranteed you're not calling the service desk. You're calling an elder. He's going to say, call the police. In fact, if you can't get a hold of the elder, you're calling the police. A publisher is going to call the police if they come to the hall and it's vandalized or damaged. They're not even going to wait. There's no rules. Call the police. So it's hypocritical. Okay, we're going to move on. This is an important news article. We wanted to talk about this a bit. This is a place that I've always said this name the wrong way, but I practiced it this morning. Arkansas. This is Arkansas, not Arkansas. Arkansas. Okay, got that out of the way. Filing period reopened for legal claims against perpetrators of CSA in Arkansas. A 2023 amendment to the 2021 law removed the age limit for adults who wish to file complaints for abuse they experience as children. So if you live in Arkansas, and this is happening in states, there's windows opening up. This is only a 3-year window, folks. They want to get this out of the way. They want to get all this CSA stuff out of the way. They want to get the religions on board. The Catholics are doing apologies. They're doing payouts. Mormons are paying out. It's happening. Some areas, there was one country that's locking it in. They're doing a lock-in. They're saying it's worth $2.3 million for a settlement, and that's kind of going to be our going rate for CSA. We don't have to run all of these things through court. If it's CSA, it's proven, $2.3 million. Some countries are doing that. It's interesting. So things are happening all over the world. All of the states in the US are almost like little countries. They all kind of have their own ruling. In Canada here, we have a global ruling. They're supposed to report immediately, but I guarantee you they call the service desk for CSA, guaranteed. And if it's in Canada and they know that the liability wise is really great, they might say, yeah, you better get the police involved. Here they should be, although I don't know if they are. Okay. So survivors of childhood CSA in Arkansas are again able to file legal claims against their perpetrators, this time with no age limit for the plaintiff, thanks to a state law amended last year. Now, it became law in 2021 where they allowed it to be 55 years of age. And then they changed the law. You see, the governments are just changing the laws, folks, allowing this. They want to be fair about this, and they want all this stuff coming out, and they want it done with. So it says here that In 2023, they removed the age limit and created a new filing window that began February 1st and will end January 31st, 2026. So there's a window here, folks. It's right here in this article. I'll pin this article. So if you're a CSA, you'll want to for sure get that filed within this window. There's no age limit. And I don't know if there's any places you can email or stuff, but I'll pin the article. It's talking about some of the payouts. August 2020, a Delaware judge approved a Boy Scouts multi-billion-dollar proposed bankruptcy settlement, with Stevens opposed, saying it was unfair to those who were abused. You see, they're just shutting places down. Dioceses, 2 dioceses that I know of in Pennsylvania had to sell them out, sell the property and everything to pay out this stuff. So it's happening. Accountability is happening. So that's nice to see. That's good news. So that's kind of all I have for news without getting into other stuff. Yeah, we're on for about an hour, so that's good. So let's see who's online with us here today. Okay. Brandy Bear, Ricky Bobby. Yes. Hello, Ricky. We actually went through some of this, eh? Pardon me? I'm just started at the beginning again. And I'm going through all the comments. So Marmy, we have Marmy on. Hello, Marmy from Quebec.
There's also the Arkansas age limit.
I just covered that.
Okay.
Were you on chats? Oh yeah, we covered the Arkansas age limit. So there's until 2026. You can make a claim, Arkansas. So without getting in, we have a lot of other stuff I could pull up. If everyone, this other one we had was quite interesting.
I wondered if you want to pitch it and then ask them if they think you should do a video on it.
Yeah, I was just looking at this one. I could look at it here. It's interesting. I'll throw it on the screen here for you. It's the psychological conflicts of a Jehovah's Witness patient. And it's regarding the blood policy. This is a Good Men project. I ran an article on them a while ago. That might show up better there. All these advertisings. I guess that's how it is now, eh? Okay, so when obtaining informed consent from a Jehovah's Witness for treatments involving blood products, they're saying that there's incongruent, inconsistent, and ununiform behavior may be observed by Jehovah's Witnesses. And this article provides background on why this population may refuse treatment and suggest ways to approach the patient that will optimize outcomes. A licensed psychotherapist and former Jehovah's Witness weighs in on beliefs, inner turmoil, and outside pressures experienced by those refusing blood treatment. Now, the stats out there say that if you're an ex-Jehovah's Witness and you're out there, 20% of you still carry your blood card around, and it could cause you your life if you're in an accident where you're unconscious. They pull out your wallet and there's your blood card. So that's something to consider. Why are you carrying that blood card? A licensed psychotherapist and former Jehovah's Witness weighs in on this. So this is an article I was going to do. It's I think it's quite a detailed article. I was going to run it. There's a lot of advertising in it too, so I was going to make a separate video maybe on it. inner turmoil. It's kind of a long subject. It's a good subject. I think it's a good subject to cover. It talks about the JW org has instituted a policy of sending a 3-elder hospital liaison committee to the hospital when a JW is in a medical crisis. So we're going to get into that. Like they get right into it. And it doesn't look like they're letting up on this blood thing, this horrible blood policy that's in this religion. It's not Bible-based. We've run many videos on it, but I think I want to run more. I think it's important. People are dying over this. And now there's even ex-Jehovah's Witnesses out there that aren't sure. They teeter-totter. Maybe some of this stuff is true. Like, even people are pitching this like, well, maybe it could be the truth at the end of Armageddon. Well, yes, it's not. This is not, you see, person hasn't woke up. There's still more work to do on yourself. If you're thinking that way, there's still more work to do on your mind. It should be just so clear, so crystal clear that this is not what Jesus instituted. They follow Jehovah, though, to the T. Because when the kids say they're hungry, Watchtower sends vipers, snakes, and bites you. So if you say, I want to go to university, you get bit. If you write a book, you get bit by the snake. And you have to stare at the Watchtower. You know what staring at the Watchtower, like staring at the bronze stake? I gave that video a few days ago. And staring at the bronze snake is like going to a meeting and staring there. Have you ever been disfellowshipped and you go to that meeting just because you have to stare at the bronze snake, the copper snake, the elder that's up there that's judging you? You want to make sure your eyes are opened with toothpicks for that elder that's judging you on the judicial meeting, and you're going like this for all of his talks. It's like staring at the bronze copper snake. It's not good, folks. It's not good. That's mind control. So that's what we're going to talk about, breaking through manipulative mind control. It takes time and the ability to reason, reflect, and entertain new information. I get people coming on the comments and just slamming us for delivering news. They slam us like stuff that's not even in the news article. Slam us, are you guys, you think you're followers of Jesus or something? Are you doing it for Jesus? We don't do this for Jesus. You know what inspires us to do this? It's because there's a lot of friends of ours coming out of that organization crippled, beat up, or ourselves. So, if the bridge is out, you'd warn your neighbor. It's love for neighbor is what this is. Jesus gave us 2 commands: love God, love your neighbor. Love God. How do you love God? I've been thinking about that one. Love God. How do you love God? Watchtower says read the Bible more, pray more. But is that really loving God? Think about it. Love God. What does it mean to you to love God? Well, I'm going to be a good person. No. That's loving neighbor. That's that part of it. So anything you're doing good on earth is loving your neighbor. How do you love God? It's a good question, right? How do you love God besides reading the Bible, besides praying, because that's just a ritual, right? These are words. These are just words written by people that are supposed to be inspired by God. They're supposed to be. But it's still people. What about God? How do you love God? Well, love your neighbor is loving God? No, that's loving your neighbor. There's 2 commands. Love God. Oh, preach. Okay, you got to go preach. No, that's love neighbor. Preaching is loving neighbor. Love God. How do you love God? Okay, I know. Looking after the earth, planting trees, that's loving neighbor. It's loving the next generation, really. Your kids, maybe. It's love neighbor. Love God. How do we love God? I'm going to have to save that for another video. Anyways, I'd appreciate if you guys could help with that. Put in your comments. A lot of people watch these videos after the fact, and think about it. Love God. Put that in the comments. Can't be love neighbor. Everything we do on earth is love neighbor. How do we love God? Watchtower always says love God. Well, how do you love God? Pray more. Well, go home and pray more. If you're spiritually sick, go home and pray more and read the Bible. You know what people do when they're feeling down? They go home, they get a big bag of potato chips. They might go to the liquor store and pick up a case of beer or a bottle of their favorite brew, vodka, whatever, when they're down. Jehovah's Witnesses. That's when they're down, feeling depressed, feeling like, I don't know. So you go and see the elder. They say, well, love God. Pray. Go home and pray. So then you go home and you pray. So you go home and you pray. Okay, God, I'm really feeling down. I don't know. I'm just feeling down. So you pray to God and you're still feeling down. So you phone the elder back. I prayed to God. I'm still feeling down. He says, well, okay, you got to go out in service. You got to go out in service. You got to help people. Then you'll please God. So you go out in service and you're already broke. Up here in Canada, it's cold out. So you got to have gas in your car and you leave it run lots. Sometimes people are in the car and it's cold out. It's below zero. If you shut your car off, people would freeze in the car. Even with all the winter clothes on, it gets very cold. It's like a tin can, especially if you're in a call for an hour and people are sitting in your car. So you always leave the keys in your car. Sometimes they turn it off for a bit. I have a diesel. You just leave them run. You leave that when that diesel starts in the morning, you leave it run until the end of the day. You don't shut it off. And they run better that way, but they burn fuel. And you go out in the ministry and you burn all of that fuel and you come home and you phone the elder back and you said, I still don't feel it. I'm not feeling it. I'm still feeling down. And the elder thinks, okay, well, you must be doing something wrong in your life. Are you? Is there anything in your home that's satanic? Did you bring anything brand new into your home? Do you see, folks, what's going on here? These elders don't have a clue about psychology. Not one of them has told me that I should maybe I have a chemical deficiency in my head. Maybe I drink too much alcohol. I don't tell them about it. I'm feeling down. Lots of that happens. They're drinking alcohol, guaranteed, the elders. So because they're feeling down as well. When they look at the news and they see all of these headlines about Jehovah on the news, they're feeling down. They're feeling depressed. And they have a big load, these elders. It's a load that they rightfully should not have. So I don't blame the people on this channel. I don't blame the Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't even hardly blame the governing body anymore. You know who I blame? Rutherford. I think Rutherford was one of the most brilliant men that ever walked. There's a lot written about him. If you go into WT history, those guys are on video number 40 something of Rutherford. And they nailed it. They nailed the right character. Rutherford is this religion. He built it. He's an illusionist. He's a master craft, like a witch kind of thing. But he's cast a spell upon the people, and he litigated it with the Bible, and he made it believable. And you get enough people believing it, and you have a force. And that's what happened. This force went out. Rutherford was a door-to-door salesman when he was young. He sold encyclopedias. He knew how to sell, and he made a religion that sold. And for 100 years, it's a Rutherford religion until just the other day they canceled beards. Something's weird going on there. There's rumors that they want to change the religion. They want to kind of get out of this rut, this Rutherford rut. And that's the only thing I can see is that's a sign of waking up. Maybe they're waking up slowly, but they're still a very much Jehovah-oriented religion. And it shouldn't be. It should be more Jesus, the way. If we read the Bible, if I'm reading the Bible right, it's about Jesus right now, the time we're living in. The time about Jehovah's gone. And there's discrepancies about this name Jehovah. Hezekiah made it one religion 700 years before Christ. But before that, it was a pantheon. These guys had different, there was Jehovah, there was a bunch of gods. When I do the history look, and I get beat up online for this is just history, folks. If we wake up, we look at the history, we look back in, it's got to match up. And now it makes more sense because here's a people, the Jews, this is their God. And then there's all these other nations on earth, and they had gods as well. And that's why we have so much division on earth today. We have so much, there's differences. There was differences within the gods, the pantheon of gods. And then we've adopted, as Christians, a third of the earth has adopted Yahweh as Jesus' Father. And I think until recently, my eyes have been open. Jesus didn't view Yahweh that way. At least I don't think he has. It could be my own viewpoint. But this is fringe. But I think fringe, everything starts with fringe. And we start opening the blinders. I got outside of this religion. I got looking at this Bible, so many mistakes in it. I've run so many videos on it, and I'll run many more if you guys want. But there's so many add-ons in that Bible. It makes your head spin. They pulled things out. And if that's what they did for the last thousands of years with the Bible, it's a book that's been conformed to control people. It's very easy to see that. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't have any merit. There's a lot of history. Doesn't mean that God's wisdom is not in there. There's a lot of inspired people, like truly inspired people by Jesus' Father, the real God, the God above the universe. The Apostle Paul talked about the God over the cosmos when he was in Athens. He came out of Berea and did his little tour. And they had an unknown God there. And he said, I'm here to talk about that God, the God over the cosmos, the God over the universe. That's the God that I believe in. But you see, Jesus' God, Jesus' Father was very giving, very loving. If people were hungry, he'd give them a fish. He wouldn't give them a stone. He wouldn't give them a serpent. But when we go back to the Old Testament, Yahweh did some cruel things. We have to acknowledge that. And it's okay to acknowledge it if you know in your mind that Yahweh was a Jew's God, was a pantheon of gods. Once you realize the history, it's okay for your brain, because then your brain says, well, I want to believe in Jesus' God. I thought all those years I was worshiping the God over the universe. Well, we weren't, because you see the fact, and I did this too, I disfellowship people, I shun people. I bit people I was part of the snake, the serpent. In the wilderness, people that were in the organization asked a few questions, got disfellowshipped. I shunned people I shouldn't have shunned. To this day, those people won't talk to me, even though I'm out. Supposedly we're on the same side. There's people that won't talk to me because I shunned them. I was a good JW. You see, I followed what Moses said. I gazed at the bronze, the copper snake. I was part of that whole, when people want to learn more, or, people are thirsty for knowledge, they get bit in the Jehovah's Witness religion. It's very Jehovah, very much a Jehovah religion. And I'm not in this to worship Jehovah. I'm sorry. So I won't be worshiping Jehovah on this channel. I'm worshiping Jesus. Jesus is different. His father was not like that. And he kind of dissed the Jews a bit. What father would feed his children a serpent if he loved them? My heavenly Father won't. You see, there's a difference. So that's what I'm finding on this channel by doing research day after day. I'm just sharing it. It's part of fixing my faith. We all come out of this religion broken up, beat up. And some of us still believe that we have to where is it? We have to follow this blood policy. This is the next article. We'll save this for a different, I'll make a video on this, but it's important. some of this stuff. If we're carrying blood cards, why are we carrying blood cards? I'm not saying bloodless surgery isn't better. You go to the doctor, you can ask for bloodless surgery when you can, but if you're unconscious and you can't, and you have a blood card, you might die. They can't help you. not that quick. And it's why? Because of 9 men in New York, and they're changing their mind on this. They've already changed their mind on the blood thing so many times. So there's lots of people that are meeting with their doctor and saying, well, it's no one's business. I want to keep this out. I don't want, between us, I don't want any the HLC or any of those guys knowing about it. And they're sending 3 elders in and having elders committees in these hospitals. And there's a lot of peer pressure. So we're going to talk about that next. That'll be in my next video I'll probably work on. Maybe we could do a live on Monday too, as well with that. So I think we're gonna call it a day. We want to thank everyone for being with us and hanging out. I'm going to go right to the bottom. Terrible dreams with Nate. Okay, I won't get involved in any of you guys' conversations, but thanks for being with us. Who didn't I say hi to? Watch Me Tower. Hello, Pete. I think that's Watch Me Tower's name. Maybe we're not supposed to use first names. Just let me know. I don't want to put anybody in a bad place. Okay, well, we're going to call her a day, and I guess this is a news day, so we did it in front of the Watchtower. We'll do a news outro. So, folks, until next time, the most important thing is just live your day with love. That's really all it is. It's really that simple, but it's complicated for a lot of people because they want rules. Well, should I get baptized? Should I do the? I didn't read that. Jesus said there's 2 commands. Just live your life with love. We got to talk about loving God. What does that mean to love God? I look forward to hearing your comments. We know what loving neighbor is. It's not giving them magazines. It's not driving around in your vehicle all day running, throwing pollution into the air, breaking your bank account. That's not love. Not love. They try to make knowledge love. It's not. It's not Watchtower knowledge. See, we can't buy that no more because Watchtower disassociates an elder if his kids go to university, if his kids want to take knowledge in. You see, that they're playing with this knowledge word in the wrong way. They call it biblical knowledge, but the Bible says that knowledge, like knowledge and wisdom, and how do you get that? Higher education, knowledge and wisdom. You see, the truth should stand in spite of any knowledge and wisdom out there, if it's the truth. If they're afraid that people are going to leave the so-called truth because of going to university, that's control. That's control. That's not. If you have the so-called truth, it's going to stand wherever you go in life. It's not going to leave you. It's inside you. It's not anything to do with going to university or college. Anyways, these are ongoing discussions, and we have to talk about them because I think it's important. So, folks, keep showing love to your neighbor. Hold the door open for some little old lady that's using a walker, going into the grocery store or something. Maybe help her get her groceries in her car. That's when people really need love, a lot of help. It's when they get older and they can't walk that well. They've served a whole life. They help. Maybe they raise kids and their kids are all busy, but you're there. You're at the grocery store. You see this. And you feel good after that. That's where you feel good. You drive home and you feel good inside because you were neighborly. Didn't cost you anything. You were there anyways. Okay, folks, keep showing love. Bye for now.